Ezekiel Chapter 40. In the 25th year of our captivity, at the beginning of the year, on the 10th day of the month, in the 14th year after the city was struck down, on that very day, the hand of the Lord was upon me, and he brought me there. In divine visions, God transported me to the land of Israel and placed me on a remarkably high mountain. From there, I could see the layout of a city to the south. As I stood there, I noticed a man whose appearance gleamed like brass. He held a flaxen line and a measuring reed in his hand, and he stood at the city's gate. The man said to me, "Son of man, observe with your eyes, listen with your ears, and fix your heart on all that I am about to show you. You are brought here for the purpose of revealing these things to the house of Israel. Declare everything you see to them." I gazed around and saw a wall encircling the outer perimeter of the house, and in the man's hand was a measuring reed, which was 6 cubits long, each cubit being a handbreadth. He measured the width of the building, which was 1 reed, and its height, also 1 reed. Then, he approached the gate that faced east, ascended its stairs, and measured the width of the gate's threshold, which was 1 reed, as well as the other threshold, which was also 1 reed wide. Each small chamber was 1 reed long and 1 reed wide, with 5 cubits of space between them. The threshold of the gate near the gate's porch was also 1 reed wide. He measured the inner porch of the gate, which was 1 reed in width. Additionally, he measured the gate's porch, which was 8 cubits wide, and its posts, which were 2 cubits wide. The porch of the gate faced inward. On the east side of the gate, there were 3 small chambers on one side and 3 on the other, all of equal dimensions. The posts on both sides were of the same measurement. He measured the gate's entrance, which was 10 cubits wide, and the gate itself, which was 13 cubits long. There was 1 cubit of space on either side of the small chambers, which were 6 cubits wide on both sides. He then measured the gate from the roof of one small chamber to the roof of the adjacent one, finding that the width was 25 cubits, with doors facing each other. Posts measuring 60 cubits extended to the surrounding court gate. The distance from the entrance gate to the porch of the inner gate was 50 cubits. Narrow windows adorned the small chambers, as well as their posts around the gate. Palm trees were also carved onto each post. Next, he led me into the outer court, where I saw 30 chambers arranged on the pavement surrounding the court. The lower pavement was positioned beside the gates. He measured the breadth from the forefront of the lower gate to the forefront of the outer court, stretching 100 cubits to the east and north. The gate of the outer court facing north was measured for its length and breadth. Like the first gate, it had 3 small chambers on each side, with posts and arches of identical measurements. It was 50 cubits long and 25 cubits wide. The windows, arches, and palm trees on this gate were similar to those on the east-facing gate, and there were 7 steps leading up to it, with arches in front of them. The gate of the inner court was opposite the north gate and the east gate, measuring 100 cubits from gate to gate. Afterwards, he brought me to the south, where there was a gate. He measured its posts and arches according to the same standards. This gate also had windows and arches like the others, with a length of 50 cubits and a width of 25 cubits. 7 steps led up to it, and palm trees adorned the posts on either side. In the inner court there was a south gate, which he measured according to the same standards, 50 cubits in length and 25 cubits in width, with arches extending 25 cubits long and 5 cubits wide. These arches faced the outer court, and palm trees adorned the posts on either side. There were 8 steps leading up to it. He then took me to the north gate and measured it, including its small chambers, posts, arches, and windows. The gate was 50 cubits long and 25 cubits wide. The posts faced the outer court, and palm trees adorned them on either side. 8 steps led to the gate. The chambers and entrances by the gateposts were where the offerings were washed. On the porch of the gate, there were 2 tables on each side for slaughtering the burnt, sin, and trespass offerings. Outside the inner gate, by the entry of the north gate, there were 2 tables on one side and 2 on the other, positioned at the porch of the gate. In total, there were 8 tables by the side of the gate, all made of hewn stone, each 1.5 cubits long, 1.5 cubits wide, and 1 cubit high. These tables were used for laying out the instruments used for offering sacrifices. Hooks, 1 handbreadth wide, were fastened around the tables, where the meat of the offerings was placed. Beyond the inner gate were chambers for the singers in the inner court, located beside the north gate. They faced south, and there was also a chamber by the east gate with a northward view. He told me, "The chamber facing south is for the priests who are responsible for the temple duties. The chamber facing north is for the priests, the sons of Zadok, who are near to the Lord to minister to him." He measured the court, which was square, 100 cubits long and 100 cubits wide, with the altar in front of the temple. He brought me to the porch of the temple and measured each post, which was 5 cubits on each side. The gate's width was 3 cubits on each side. The porch's length was 20 cubits, and its width was 11 cubits. He led me up the steps to the porch, where there were pillars on each side, one on each side of the gate.